everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to dive into the topic of postpartum depression and anxiety. It is something that I feel is not talked about enough. When people hear the term postpartum, it's such a huge umbrella that there are so many little different things that can fall underneath it. Well, for instance, you'll hear people talking about their postpartum fit journey or the postpartum items that they felt were the most beneficial to them. But postpartum depression is talked about the least, in my opinion. I know a lot of new mothers, expecting mothers, and just couples in general who are embarking on their parenthood journey. So I feel that this is very important to be able to share, especially for the person who looks like me. I know that when I was in the thick of it myself, I didn't see, or I wasn't able to find too many people who looked like me that were very open about discussing their postpartum journey, especially if they experienced depression and things of that nature. So I have my little co-host here with me today, my little baby boy. And if you don't know much about me, I have two little boys. I had my first child in April of 2019, and I had my second little baby boy right here in December of 2020. So first, I think it's important for me to say this. I am no medical expert at this topic. I am just here to share my experience and to share my story. So, yeah. So, with my first child, I had him in the hospital, and with my second, I had a home birth. So, I have yet to experience postpartum depression this far, and I am so excited to be able to say that because I experienced it heavily with my first child. So, a variety of things could have played into that. So, when giving childbirth to my first, I tore significantly. So, I had to get stitches, and I was in some pain. Now, y'all know, if your lady parts or you're not feeling good down there, everything can just seem off whack. Your mood can just be very shifty, and that was me. So I was heavily depending on my husband to do everything. So the things around the house, he had to get things for me, and I don't even think he was used to that. It probably drove him up a wall. But, you know, I was in so much pain, and that irritated me as well. So it would hurt even if I would move suddenly, if I was to cough, sneeze, laugh, anything. I was just in so much pain. So my husband, another thing is he went back to work he stayed at home with me for a week, and then he had to go back to work, which, like I said, he probably was happy because I was really working the man to the bone. And so after giving childbirth, I was in a daze. My body had just birthed this beautiful baby boy, and I was just in a fog. It felt like everything was moving extremely slow. I think my hormones were all over the place. My adrenaline was just rushing, and I just was stuck kind of like in a daze where it's like, I know what I just did, but now the real work begins. And so got home, and for that first week, everything was all good, you know, and up until my husband went back to work is where I believe that the postpartum started to really set in, postpartum depression. And so got home, and I had a crier. My little baby cried all of the time, and it just gave me anxiety. I spent majority of my time trying to console him and try to make sure that he was okay, and it just seemed like nothing was working. And so that put a lot of stress on me. I was just used to being at home, if after work, and just kind of by myself, and to have a crying baby, that put a lot of stress and a lot of weight on me. And so I was in pain, and I had a crying baby. And another thing is, I knew I wanted to breastfeed, but at the hospital, Jackson would not latch on immediately, but it was because he had a tongue tie, and so we had to go get that taken care of. But at the hospital, they gave him a bottle. The baby has to eat, right? And so I knew once we got him home, I wanted to transition him from that formula, that ready-to-go formula that they have at the hospital, to breast milk. So I knew that that was going to be some work on my end. I was already heavily pumping. I still pumped while I was at the hospital and that thing, but I knew that I wanted the convenience of being able to put him on the breast when I wanted to. And then, what you got to say? I didn't even introduce my co-host here. This is Justice. Did I? I don't know. I can't even remember. But so I knew I wanted to have that convenience, and so I was determined to get him to latch onto the breast. Did not work, was not easy at all. So what I did was I invested in these Nipple Shields, where you put them over your breast, where the baby sucks on that. It makes them feel like they're sucking on a bottle because of the texture, the silicone. Put it on top of your breast, and then they suck on that, and it'll give them the breast milk. And so I would put him on the breast, and then I would constantly snatch that thing off, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna latch on. But he wouldn't do it. And so I remember being so frustrated, and it really gave me anxiety, because I was like, I need to be able to feed this baby boy, and I want to do it this way because I'm pumping the milk, and I just need this convenience. And Dad, he really did help me. My husband was helping me with that a lot. I don't know if it was because he didn't want to buy that formula or what, but homeboy was helping me, okay? So I would put him onto the breast, and he wouldn't latch on. And so I remember one day, clear as day, I was so frustrated, y'all. Extremely frustrated, to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna go get one of these little, the formula things, the red. I remember I was so frustrated, and I was like, I'm just gonna feed you the bottle. He wouldn't even take the bottle. And so I was like, what do you want? I was so like, oh my goodness, like, what do you need at the moment? And then I just tried again to put him on the nipple shield. Then I snatched it off, and he latched. And I remember so much relief coming over me. Now, he didn't do it every time afterwards, but I was so consistent that it eventually happened. And once he started to breastfeed, my life got so much easier. So, and another thing is, a lot of people, when they hear about postpartum depression, they think of the extremes. Now, postpartum depression doesn't mean that, oh, I want to hurt myself, or I want to hurt my baby. I just wasn't myself. I just didn't feel like myself. And I knew that. I hadn't ever dealt with depression or anything of that sort. So those emotions that I was feeling, I didn't understand them, because in the moment, I was feeling two different ways. On one hand, I birthed a healthy baby boy, and I was so happy, you know, to be able to do that. And on another hand, I was just sad. I didn't feel like myself. I felt like my life was, you know, turned upside down. So, you know, it was a huge transformation for me. And you okay? You okay? So, you know, I was irritated, in pain. I had a crier, and breastfeeding gave me a headache. It was crazy. And then on another hand, my baby did not sleep. So everybody knows when you have a baby, that newborn schedule is off the chain, and you're not going to get a lot of sleep. It's the normal thing, you know. You're on the baby's time. You're not on your time anymore. And at that point, and I was a sleeper. I love to sleep. After work, I would come home, get on the couch, take a nap. Saturday mornings, I would spend it napping all day long if I wanted to. I was just used to being able to sleep when I wanted to, and that just instantly cut off once I birthed that baby boy. And so my child slept in 15-minute intervals. I kid you not. I would hear mothers brag all the time about, my baby sleeps in 2 to 3 hour stretches. And I'm just like, well, God bless you, because that's not my case. You know, my baby does not sleep. And so I would get irritated a lot of the time, because I would put him down, or even if I tried to put him down, you know, he would instantly wake up. Or when I did get him down, I had to go and do something, or, you know, and then by the time I was going to lay down, I would realize my breasts are engorged, I need to pump. And by the time I did that and cleaned the bottles, guess what? He was up. So my sleep schedule was non-existent pretty much, and that made me so irritated. And my self-care, it seemed like it was out the window as well. So when I would try to give him to dad, he did not like it. He would cry. He knew instantly when I would give him to dad, and he could just smell his scent or something. He just did not want to be with him. Once he got used to me, all he wanted was me. And so it was hard for me to be able to get a break. So when it was time for me to take showers and stuff at night, my husband would take them and I would just be in the shower. And I remember just hearing him crying to the top of his lungs. And with that, while he was crying, I would be crying in the shower. The shower was my place to just kind of release, because I'm not the type of person that's just very forthcoming with, if I'm going through something and I didn't feel well, you know, it was just that. And so oftentimes I would just cry in the shower, and that was one of the most trying times of my life. Don't know if it was just because of the first trend, that was my, you know, first step into motherhood, and it was just very hard on me, and I didn't understand it. I didn't have anyone that I could just reach out to help me to get through it. That's what I felt, you know. Oftentimes you would hear people always asking, they would call, how's the baby, or how are things going, you know, and no one really directly ever asked about me, you know, how I was feeling in the moment. I would hear my husband on the phone, and people would ask him, you know, how's your wife doing, if they did ask, and he would say, oh, she's doing great. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you not see me? I am not doing great. Or I don't even know if he just didn't know how to handle it, or, you know, I think in the moment he may have went through a little bit of postpartum depression too, because dads do experience that. It's not just the thing with mothers. His life had changed just as much as mine did, in a sense, and there were times where I could just see the weight on him as well, and so it was hard for us to kind of console each other in that nature. So yeah, it was pretty freaking horrible. And another thing that I think aided into me feeling very sad and worthless at times, and not being capable of being able to be the mother that, you know, my child needed, was because of people's comments. People said so many snarky and just nasty things, or they just, when you have a baby, people feel like they are the superheroes, or, you know, they're experts at being parents. So once you have that baby, that advice will just start flowing in. People were just giving me advice that I wasn't even asking for, and it was driving me up a wall. It was driving me insane. And so, you know, when I would get to myself and I knew that I needed to do certain things, I would hear everyone's comments, and then it was just driving me crazy, man. And the things that people said, you know, well, you should do this, or you shouldn't be doing that, or, you know, you're holding your baby too much, or, you know, why don't you just try to use formula? It was just driving me up a wall. And that's why I say you have to be very cautious and very sensitive to new parents, especially new mothers, because they're just trying to figure it out. And I felt at the moment I didn't. You okay, baby? You okay, baby? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You have to be very sensitive to the things that you say to new mothers, because you don't know what they are going through at that moment. Be cautious of the things that you say, and just, you know, your actions, because we're trying to figure it out. And at the end of the day, God has given us the ability to mother our children the way that they should be mothered. So just give new mothers the opportunity to be able to do that without, you know, coming in and trying to force your way of doing things on them. That's the best advice that I can say. Oh, God bless you, man. God bless you. So yeah, that was a headache within itself. And I just remember, you know, majority of my days walking around this house on maternity leave, and I was sad. I recall the first time we kind of got out and we rode past my job, and I was saying to myself, I miss my old life. And I felt very selfish for saying that or thinking it, because I'm like, Krishon, God has blessed you with a beautiful child. You know, don't take that for granted. But in the moment, I couldn't see that. And another thing is, we went out. I'll never forget. It's the people's comments. We went out, and this was like the first time my husband was like, no, we're going to go to the store, because I hadn't really gone to the store. And so we took Jackson to the store, and we were in the checkout line. He did so good. And when we got to the checkout line, I was standing at the front about to check out, and then Jackson started to cry. Of course, I tried to give him a pacifier. I tried to do everything, you know, to console him. And so my husband took him out of the car seat, and I remember a lady saying to him, you need to hold the baby's back. Well, ma'am, excuse me. It's just like, why do people feel the need to always have to say something? Just take the rule of thumb. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Or sometimes just don't say nothing. That's the wise thing to do. You don't always need to share your opinion about how you feel or what you think should be happening. Don't worry about it. And of course, my husband was holding his back, but that's just how people are. So what started to help me a little bit, you know, I would mope around the house. You know, my husband was gone and working, and I felt a little sad in the instance, because I was like, okay, well, you at least get to go out and you go to work, and then you come back home. At least you get a breather. But now I'm just at home attached, and I have this baby where I felt like I was held hostage in the home. So what helped me was my insurance company. Yes. So they had someone assigned to me that called me, and she checked up on me, which was so strange. I didn't know that they did that. You know, your insurance knows that you're having a child. So the lady called, and she said, congratulations, I know you had a baby, but I'm calling to check on you to see if there's anything that I could get you in this very moment, or anything that you need. And without even knowing it, I just poured my heart out to this lady. And because I think she did it in such a way that it was so smooth, where it didn't make me seem as though she was going to pity me or that she was going to judge me. That's another reason why I did not open up to people and tell them that I was feeling this way, because I felt that people were going to judge me. They were already judging me about not being able to, you know, console my baby, or I'm holding my baby. They already were judging me. So what makes you think that I wanted to open up to tell someone that I'm feeling sad or I'm not feeling like myself, and then they're just going to judge even the more? So that was that reason. And she did not make me feel like that. And she would call me, you know, not every day, but every other day, and we would kind of talk, and just, you know, she would just check up on me, and that helped me significantly. So if you are going through it, make sure to talk to someone. If it's not your partner, you know, if it's not your partner, if your insurance company doesn't do this, or you don't have insurance, get a therapist. Get someone that you feel that they are your safe space to be able to let go and to, yeah, oh, you want to take over? To let them know how you're really feeling, because when you bottle up those feelings, it just, are you, what is going on? When you bottle up those feelings, things just get worse, and you start to get into your own head, and your thoughts start to control you. So if you are going through that, or talk to your provider, you know, the person who delivered your child. That is a partnership, so that person is supposed to be able to help you through. You're paying that person, so communicate that stuff to them, because sometimes if you don't communicate, then sometimes people won't notice or understand that something is going on with you, you know. So you have to be able to do your part, which that was hard for me to do as well, because I'm just not that open with sharing my emotions and that type of thing. But I will say that once I talked to someone, I felt so much better. So I advise you, I want to let you know that it will not last forever. You got this. You are made to mother your child, and you are not alone. So I just wanted to share my story, because a lot of times people see you, you know, post nice pictures or see you with your kids, and they think that everything is all peaches and cream. And like I say, everything is not always peaches and cream. Motherhood is hard work. And the work never stops. Once you have that child, you know, things may get better, but it's always like a little roller coaster, because you're always learning. Things are always constantly changing. But like I said, I want to say that you're not alone. You can do this. Keep your head up. Smile. Be grateful and appreciative to the things that you do have, and talk to someone. I promise you, you'll feel so much better once you get those emotions out and talk to someone. So, not going to hold you much longer, because my little co-host is getting a little antsy. So, just wanted to share my story. Love you guys. Peace. Mwah.